Okay, folks, so I wanted to share. So I have a shamanic tarot deck that I'll possibly do a reading later for you guys for Mother's Day. But I wanted to share my reading from last night because it was very profound. And as you can see, this is the shamanic healing. Okay? And this was a quintessential shamanic healing reading. Because what flipped out, I mean, it shot out when I was shuffling. That's the truth card. You see? There we go. Okay, it's number 12. 12, truth, tweet. What do the birds do? They tweet. Okay? They carry the stories of truth from one generation to the next. That's why they hold such ancient wisdom. Even in the Native American cultures, the oldest cultures, a lot of the stories have been lost. Even with, the Tibetan Buddhists, because all just things that have happened, war and all kinds of stuff. So, all kinds of things, right? That have to do with people wanting to control us, right? So we're constantly on this quest for truth, because we know that something just doesn't sit right with us when we look at society. Okay, that's why there's so many whistleblowers and truth seekers, exposers of lies. It's hard to even get to the higher levels of truth because there's just so many lies we have to expose. That scorpionic energy, that Scorpio moon, full moon that we just had, this was a big part of that. And the eagle sees the big picture, okay? Sees everything in relation to everything else. That's the element of the big picture. From having that wide scope. That eye of the eagle. Okay, so truth. That shot out. So when that shot out, this is what was on the bottom of the deck. That's number 33. So we had number 12, truth. Okay, 12 is the number of Christ consciousness as well. So is 3. That's the path of the ascended masters. And this is the master 33. Okay. And that is integration. Alright? So, keep in mind, 12 and 33, very powerful numbers there. Then we had perception, which is a 9. I always think of like a pregnant woman. 9 gives me that feeling of about ready to burst. Very big energy. Because the death and rebirth, okay? 9 is all, the end of a cycle, so. And that's what this black and white, yin yang, sun, moon, these balancing forces, whatever you want to call them. And that's perception, okay? How does the eagle perceive things? A very wide lens. We have to have a very wide lens, a very wide scope. And that's how we see truth. So, truth, integration, 12, and then a 33, and this was at the top. And death, of course, alpha, omega, beginning, end, death, rebirth. It's the same point of emanation. And that is an 8 in this deck, which is very, okay, the karmic, the cycles. So what I got from that was, oh, in New Beginnings, there's the next top card, so that's perfect, okay, because Death and Rebirth, okay, that was right under the Death card. The Death card was the top card, Integration was the bottom, and Truth flew out, okay, so Truth, number one, most important thing. How do we get to truth? By weaving together the light and the dark, the death and the rebirth. When we integrate it and see it in relation to itself and the other, how all parts intermingle, okay, the workings of it, the ancient history, everything, okay, that's what the eagle sees. The eagle sees everything, the whole story, all timelines, all at once, all happening at once. So when we integrate, we reach absolute truths. And one of the biggest journeys as a human being, one of our biggest truths, if not the number one truth, is facing our fear of death. Because when we get to the heart of the matter, the truth, what we thought about death isn't what it actually is. And this is a truth that you'll discover on your spiritual journey, amongst other truths. But this is one that's very big with human beings. And I can't speak for the other animals. I'm not sure. I can't remember my past lives when I was an elephant and stuff like that. But I believe I've always been a human. That's just because that's what I remember. But I have done some ba-dump running around. So I did feel very saggy once in a dream. I felt like I was really like clumping horse, like fast ba-dump on the ground barefoot. So that was a very saggy energy. It's funny, I was actually running around with Hip Koala Mango Coconut in that dream. We were just running around. I think we were both naked. We were just like running around this place, and we were just like, so it felt so free and like fun. And I just remember the feeling of my feet on the bare earth and how it was just like boom, 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 like heavy, like very in my physical body. And I think I was definitely tapping in. I don't know if the moon was in Sag at that time or what, but yeah, that was a very freeing, liberating, joyful, in my divine feminine energy dream. That was just one little blip in the dream, and it was very joyful, very free spirit, just flying, being so comfortable in your own skin and I felt the air on my skin, all the sensations. It was just like, feeling the earth under your feet, feeling the wind on your skin. So this fear of death, okay, when we realize that we are these eternal beings of light, our etheric body, okay, pure energy, when we're just pure energy, there is no pain there. Pain comes from the pain body, the physical body. Pain and pleasure. So, when we're in our perfect spirit body, there's only the potential or tendency to feel pain or pleasure. It doesn't exist yet. As far as the tangibility, the experience of it, the experience, okay? To be outside of the spirit, to expose, experience. It's Exoteric. Ex. Okay, so you have to be outside of the spirit, okay, in your flesh body to experience pain, sadness, suffering, joy, bliss, all that. When you're just your pure divine essence, your spark, you're just pure potentiality, pure energy. There's no sensation yet. So when we remember our true essence, it helps us to overcome, transcend pain, to overcome the fear of death. We integrate our spirit into form. Our spirit, our higher self, the highest form of ourself that we can make contact with in this reality. That's our ultimate truth. That pain is only experienced here, but our spirit is perfect, and that's who we truly are. Our essence, our core is that pure energy. So when we integrate that, with our 3D reality, when we integrate that, that's when the release of the fear of death and the true understanding of the truth of what death really is. The fear dissipates then. Because we can now apply that knowledge and we've gained wisdom. Almost probably the number one deepest wisdom we'll learn as a human being is overcoming this fear of death. Transcending the fear, releasing the fear. When we understand things, we don't oppose it, we don't fear it, we don't fight it, we don't rebel against it. And to understand death is to understand your true integrated self. So I just thought that was like really the main point of like shamanic journeys is, the animals teach us so much if we would just slow down and pay attention. And the world has been just so corrupted and taken out of balance. They've skewed our perception of the world by, we're born into the currency, okay, current instead of a current of energy, okay? It's a current of money, currency. And we're just forced into this system, and people can say, oh, that's just the way life is. We have cars, we have money. But no, not in God's natural world. No, we don't. Well, you need to go to school, you need to get a job, you need to da-da-da-da-da. I never heard that message from God ever. But he does say, Mother, Father says to be fruitful and multiply like the plants, trees, and animals of the earth. But they've stolen our water. See, they've stolen our truth, so now we fear death, okay? So we apply that to everything. And we get further and further away from truth. And further away from our own power to integrate and interweave things for deeper understanding instead of fear-based everything, running around, got to pay the bills, got to go to work, got to go to school and go thousands of dollars into debt for student loans, and then get a job that doesn't pay you, and you get, okay, like, They've stolen our land and sold it back to us. They've stolen our water and sold it back to us. They've stolen our air. It's like the movie Spaceballs out here. Okay? They're going to start selling air in cans. And I mean, people already have to do oxygen therapy because it's just so, everything's so upside down here. Not the natural world, not the things that have been encoded, you know, with God's information. The things that are pure, okay? Your powers, okay? Integration, transmutation, the truth, which is love, which is peace, balance, and harmony, which is how Mother Earth flows perfectly, okay? But we have to have infrastructure and bridges and money and we have to buy water, and it's just ridiculous. And it's no wonder they killed Tesla and, you know, I mean, all these, of course, it's horrible. All the ones that are in charge who have enslaved us. I mean, when you see, you know, you look at the world through God's eyes and it's just like, oh my gosh, there's war, there's just, because if they can keep us fear-based, they can keep us killing ourselves, killing each other, numbing out, judging, fighting, all of it, okay? Just name it, it's there on the list. So when we do this self-integration and come to absolute truths, which is love is the only truth that there is, okay? And death isn't what we think it is. And there's no need to fear. And fear is only something that we're supposed to use right in the moment to, like, get a boost of adrenaline to, like, you know, outrun a bear or something. Well, good luck with that, but you know, and to dissipate quickly and just to be in that moment, in that now, to save your physical, tangible body, okay? But we hold on to it for our lifetimes of fear because we're listening to the people who have enslaved us and forming our opinion about death and life and truth based on what man tells us and not what God tells us. And that new beginnings, okay, it will come back to balance no matter what, because that's what's encoded and nothing else will sustain. It may look like it for a while, you know, and then what happens? God comes in, fire, famine, and flood. F. Fire, famine, flood. And you know, so things will be balanced out. So the oligarchy, the evil ones in charge, whatever you want to call them, they're the nameless, faceless. That's what I call them, because you'll see to a certain extent, okay, the evil, but the true evil behind all of it, you'll never hear their name or see their face because they are nameless and faceless. They're the demonics that are behind the manipulation and the puppeteering of the people who fear death, okay? They're being at the very top, okay, and they're enslaving and manipulating all of us, but truly, they're being enslaved and manipulated by demonic forces. So we have to all the way back to the root of evil is that. Demonic spirits, demonic forces, okay? Demonics, not harmonics, right? But God's harmony crushes all. Binds, vanquishes, dissolves anything that doesn't support peace, balance, and harmony. Which is love. That's the absolute truth of God, is love, peace, balance, harmony, love. And love is at the core. Life wanting to live is another thing that I call it. Just the proliferation of life. Okay? And that's what we're supposed to be doing. And I see the world through God's eyes, and I see what's happening. I see the war. I see the people killing themselves. I know. That's why I don't watch TV or news. I already see it in my dreams and stuff. And I've seen it enough in life, so I can imagine. I know what's out there. I know what's happening. And God doesn't like what he sees. He does. There's a lot, like people out here trying to grow spiritually and help others and in the community, online, however you can do it. God sees that, okay? We have to see that as well. We have to see the whole big picture, right? And that's why, and Joyce Myers, I watched a sermon yesterday, and it was all about, well, not all about, but one of the things she said, and it reminded me of a dream that I had where there was shots being fired, there was like this, it was Armageddon time in this dream, and I just knew, I was like, I'm gonna walk cautiously, but I know I will not be struck by a bullet. And there were shots going back and forth across this intersection, just flying, and I just went forth in fortitude and was not struck, grazed, nothing. But I went forth because I had this deep inner knowing that I was safe. And she was talking about that. She said, I see what's going on out in the world. We got to be a light in a dark world. It's dark out there. And, she said, people aren't going to church. You know what they're doing? They're watching us. Okay? That's why I learned tarot and all that stuff, because church, all doctors couldn't help me. We have to get closer and closer to God. Okay? And people are realizing the church isn't doing it. That's why they watch Joyce Myers and stuff. And she sticks with the true gospel. She doesn't get off into, I'll watch some people and all of a sudden they'll start saying how gays aren't going to inherit the kingdom. Blap, over that. Because let's just focus on the ultimate truths. That's why I love Joyce Myers, because she always she understands metaphysics. And if you ever watch her, you can tell by the things that she talks about, the way she talks about. She's very intelligent. She does a lot more research than she's allowed to really share, because she wants to focus on the Bible, and but she picks out the truths and she sticks with Jesus and his teachings. A lot of churches, they claim Jesus, but then they are judgmental and all this stuff, okay? And you can see in her audience, and she stays away from controversial subjects because she doesn't want to divide. She wants to unite. She's that Vesica Pisces in the middle. She wants to focus on the things that unite us. So she doesn't talk about gay, or she doesn't talk about, and you can see the camera person will show, if you're paying attention, you can see they'll pan to like interracial couples. They'll show homosexual couples. So these people, that's why they love Joyce, because, and I just love her. So, and if you understand what I'm saying there, then you understand. So that's probably why she's the only quote unquote Christian, really, that I'll watch. She's just real. And what she was saying was how she wasn't afraid, because just like that card, Release into Ecstasy, was that Zofkiel? Yeah, just, we don't need to be afraid because we're protected. God has our back. There's no reason to fear death. There's no reason to fear these people who are trying to control us, that take away our land, our water, our clean air to breathe, and dictate this false way of living that's not God's way. Cars and jobs and school, a type of schooling, a method of schooling that's unnatural. It really is. It was to prepare you for the workforce, which they don't even really have anymore. It was to train you to respond to bells and all this stuff. And, you know, basically kids are in school almost like 8 hours, like a work day, okay? It was meant to separate everyone from the home. That's where we did everything. We lived there, we worked there, we grew there, you know, all the lessons of life. We didn't go somewhere else to a school. We didn't go anywhere. You didn't need to go, you know, go on a journey of self-discovery or something, and, you know, do your Jabberwocky, you know, but it was a spiritual quest and a spiritual journey of self-discovery, like the hero's journey. It wasn't discovering yourself through a 9-to-5 job and going to college and all these different, I mean, college, even as much truth and stuff as I learned there, I didn't really learn the important stuff, the ultimate truths, okay? You know, unless you know, studied it on your own for yourself, you know, like an offshoot of metaphysics or something, but it wasn't course material, okay? These shamanic understandings of ultimate truths, and yeah, in metaphysics you do learn, you know, but if you really want to delve deep into it, you got to do it on your own. Releasing these fears of, you know, death being the number one. They manipulate us into fearing death, fearing getting old. You know, that's why so many people have plastic surgery and do all these things to try to stay looking young, and, you know, we dye our hair. I'm not judging anything. I'll even mess around with my hair color sometimes and just have fun with it or whatever, but they want us to fear getting older, fear death, because then we get more and more sucked into their system, which is a fear-based system. You know, we're afraid to not go to work, to not have money to pay the bills because they've taken our water from us and sold it back to us. They make us pay taxes on land, and people can own land, and it's just weird. I mean, you reach a certain level of truth and it just doesn't make any sense. It just seems, it's so weird and foreign, okay? And when you start on this journey, all this stuff seems weird and foreign, but you come to a certain point and it's just so palpable. It's just so tangible, and everything else just seems like such an illusion. You just realize that there's nothing to fear. And that's the only way that they can control you, is by manipulating your fear and getting you to stay in fear instead of having just those quick flashes of fear that are there for a reason, to give you a little adrenaline boost to climb up that tree really quick when a cheetah's on your ass or something, you know? You know, but that cheetah's there to give you some medicine too. You should take it. I'm not saying let a cheetah eat you or something, you know, but we need to be wiser than the lies that are told to us. And through self-integration, we integrate the world around us. And through greater, deeper understanding, a greater, deeper understanding of truth, ultimate truths, we can release that fear. And we don't have to oppose anything. We don't even have to oppose death, let alone someone else or ourselves. Even with what's going on in the world, war, chemtrails, Morgellons, all these things, you know. You know, I think we really need to get on with mission. A lot of people talk about mission out here, but I mean, not that I'm doing a whole hell of a lot, but I'm doing what I can, documenting and just sharing truth, chemtrails, Morgellons, something. I mean, if we're at this point, if we're only just doing like, I don't know, healings and readings and stuff, that only like twin flame associated stuff, that's still that lower level stuff. Of we haven't reached the highest understanding of what this whole twin flame journey is about. So, you know, I really, you know, am challenging and encouraging people to really step up to a higher level of this journey now. I'm not saying stop doing what, you know, I'm going to still do twin flame. I'm not telling anyone what to do, never. I'm just saying, you know, that trumpet card, that blast of truth, that call to duty, a little bit, like stepping up our game a little bit more. You know, we need to be sharing these truths a little bit more than just focused only on the subject of twin flames. And I've been saying this from the beginning, since I knew I was a twin flame. It's, you know, it's about healing, growing, understanding truth by integrating our fears. Because if we see our fear, number one fear of death, we see how that actually fits in with life and how it's all a part of everything. You know, we're not so easily manipulated anymore. And that means by our own thoughts and emotions as well. And it helps you transcend those lower levels, or those, I don't want to say lower like in a negative way, but those first few steps on the journey. Okay, we have to keep progressing, right? So the next step is to do something above and beyond and outside just the subject of twin flames, to expose truth in our world. That's what we need more of. We need more truth, more releasing of fears, more integration, more truth. Okay? Okay, so that's about 32 and a half minutes. I wanted to keep that in the 20s, but we'll leave it at that. I hope you guys got something out of that. I love you all. Blessings and peace be upon you all.